My life story in London. Hello, my name is John. I am a student of English literature. I want to share my life story in London and tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story and learn English with me. Chapter 1. A Journey Begins. It is a beautiful summer day. I am traveling on a train. Two women are sitting opposite me, speaking English. I don't understand much because I am a beginner in studying English. I don't know many words. I began speaking to the women in basic English. They understood what I wanted to say, which made me happy. I told them I want to learn English. They told me they are from England and are going home from a conference. Our conversation lasted for 10 minutes. When my station arrived, I said goodbye. The women gave me their address and phone number, inviting me to visit them in England. After this meeting, I worked on my English every day. I translated texts and watched films in English. In 6 months, my English improved significantly, but I wanted to learn more. I decided to go to London to study English. Chapter 2. My first day at school. When I was in London, I joined a school. My first lesson was on a Monday. I met my teacher and other students in the class. My teacher was a young and kind lady. She was very nice and humble. We introduced ourselves and then proceeded with the lesson. Our teacher asked us about our general knowledge of the language. She told us she could teach us through a very effective method to learn English. This method was very simple. She said we would not have to study from textbooks, but would have to use English a lot in our daily lives. This method turned out to be very effective for me. I did not like studying from textbooks because they confused me. We then spoke about what is important when learning a new language. Our teacher explained that language is a purpose and a mode of communication. We need languages to communicate and to express ideas and thoughts. So, when learning a new language, the best method is to use the language to express our feelings and communicate with others. This is what we would do in our course. We would speak and make use of the English language a lot. Many students try to remember new words and study grammar rules, but they don't use English for speaking. They study the language but don't use it. There is a difference. Of course, you need to learn new words and grammar, but you don't have to study them. You need to practice them daily. In this course, our teacher showed us a very simple and effective method to learn vocabulary and grammar. I liked what she said. Our lesson continued as we spoke about our hobbies and what we like to do in our free time. We spoke in pairs or with our teacher. I enjoyed taking classes. I am really happy because this system of learning turned out to be very good and effective for me. Chapter 3. How I Learned Vocabulary. I went to school on Tuesday again. One of the students asked an interesting question. What is the best way to learn new words? Our teacher said there are many ways to learn new words, but statistically, the most effective way is reading. People who read learn new words twice as fast as those who don't. It is good to read for at least 30 minutes every day. Our teacher explained what to do to get the maximum benefit from reading. First, it is crucial that the book or text you read is interesting to you. Enjoying the book is important. It can be a nice story, fiction, or non-fiction, whatever you are interested in. Don't read texts that aren't interesting to you. When you don't know many words, you can get frustrated. Always enjoy what you do while using the language. Choose a text that is interesting and appropriate for your level. When you read and encounter a word you don't understand, use a dictionary to find its meaning. This will help you understand the text better and increase your knowledge. You don't have to write the word down. It will automatically get locked in your brain, and you will always remember its meaning when you see it again. Every time you come across a new word, do the same. Reading also has another great advantage. When you read, you learn new words and how each word is connected to other words in a sentence. You can see how to link words correctly. This method of learning new words is very effective. Try it, and you will see how fast you can learn new words. We continued with the lesson, discussing the situation in England and the best jobs for students. This was good for me because I wanted to get a job. I asked other students if they knew where I could find a job. They told me to go to a job center, which offers many jobs, especially for students. I was happy to know where to find a job. Chapter 4. Finding a Job. When my day at school was over, I went to the job center. I didn't know what job I could do, so I asked the lady at the job center for advice. She told me they had good jobs for students, like being a cleaner or a waitress in a cafe. I told her I had no experience with these jobs. She said my English was good enough to work at the cafe. The training was not difficult, and I would have more chances to speak English than being a cleaner. She told me I could start my job on Thursday. It was all good for me. I was happy to have a job where I could practice English. Remember, if you want to learn new words effectively, read for 30 minutes every day. Chapter 5. Improving Pronunciation. Almost everybody has a slightly different pronunciation than they should have. In fact, it is not a big problem because usually people understand what you want to say even if your pronunciation is not perfect. However, you can work on your pronunciation and make it better with a great technique that can help you a lot. The name of this technique is shadowing. The technique is very simple. When you do shadowing, you simply copy the sound which you hear. When children learn their first language, they learn it by copying. They copy after their parents again and again, and one day their pronunciation becomes perfect. You can learn English pronunciation the same way. This is what you can do. Take some videos or audio recordings that are not very fast, and which you can understand very well. You listen and copy what you hear when you hear it. That is all. Then our teacher went to www.youtube.com, http://www.youtube.com, and searched for the shadowing technique. She found good videos where the shadowing technique was very well demonstrated. We watched the video, then we all tried to do shadowing for about 3 minutes. Our teacher told us shadowing is also good when you are preparing for a presentation in English and want to have good pronunciation. Before the presentation, you can go to a place where you are alone and do shadowing for about 10 minutes. You will see how much it will help you to have better pronunciation during the presentation. This was very interesting for me. I hadn't heard about this technique before. When the lesson finished, I went to the school reception and asked the lady if there were any sports activities at school. I wanted to do some sports in England. The lady at the reception said, "Yes, we have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has training today at 5 West." I was very happy because sport is very important in my life. I went to the training of the football team. I met a lot of players from different countries. The players are from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I liked the training. I was very happy that my time in England started well. I have a great teacher, and I also have some new friends from my football team. Also, tomorrow I am starting my job. When you want to have good pronunciation, repeat after native speakers. Chapter 6. New Friends and Techniques. On Thursday, I went to school again. We had a new student in our class. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, my teacher asked Elizabeth some questions. My teacher knows Elizabeth because Elizabeth visited her class 1 year ago. It was a class for beginners, and it was only for 2 weeks during the summer holiday. When Elizabeth speaks, she speaks beautifully. Her pronunciation is very good, and she is fluent. My teacher was very happy and told Elizabeth, "Your school in Italy must be very good." Elizabeth said, "I don't go to any school. I learn English at home. I use techniques that I learned from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. I try to think more in English than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks I spent last summer in your class helped me a lot. You showed me the way. I know how to work on my English every day. This is why I wanted to join your class again. 1 year ago I was a beginner, and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again." My teacher was very happy when she heard these words. She appreciated Elizabeth for her hard work. It was all very interesting for me. I already knew about reading and the shadowing technique, but Elizabeth also spoke about thinking aloud. I didn't know what it was, so I asked our teacher, "What is thinking aloud?" Our teacher replied, "It is a very effective technique. You have to have a strong motivation to learn English if you want to benefit from this technique. It is also good to know that for some people, this technique is a little crazy. But when you start to think aloud, your English can improve very fast." I said, "I have a strong motivation. I don't care if the technique is crazy. If it helps, I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique?" "Okay," our teacher said. "It is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day, every day. It is normal. Now you can start to think in English. When you start to think in English, you can think aloud. Simply say aloud what you think. That's all." I said, "It is very simple. Why is it very effective?" Our teacher said, "Maybe you can ask Elizabeth. She uses this technique. Maybe she can tell you more about it." Then our teacher asked Elizabeth if it was okay for her to speak about her experience with thinking aloud. "It is not a problem," Elizabeth said. "When I started with this technique, it wasn't easy. I started with very simple sentences. For example, I can speak English. It is good that I can speak English. I want to be better. I need to practice every day. I don't know many words, but I can use these words. I can say my ideas with these words. I can do this. This is great." The sentences were really simple, but at the beginning, there was one problem. My thinking in Italian was long and complicated. I was not able to say in English exactly what I said in Italian. I needed to find a simpler form for English. Thinking in simple English was the hardest part. But after some time, it was normal for me to think in English. Then something interesting happened. I met a man from Australia who was on holiday in Italy. I was still a beginner, but we started to speak English. I could see that I was able to speak with him without having problems. My sentences were simple and short, but I was able to speak. I didn't translate in my head from Italian to English. After the meeting with the man from Australia, I started to use thinking aloud more. This technique helped me a lot with my speaking. I still use it every day. It is really a very effective technique. Our teacher thanked Elizabeth for sharing her experience with thinking aloud. I wanted to use this technique because I also wanted to get better at speaking. When you want to speak English fluently, think aloud. Chapter 7. Grammar and Job Training. On Friday, after school, I went to the cafe where my job training started. I didn't know what to expect. I had no experience, and I was not sure if I could do this job. When I came to the cafe, I was very surprised. It is a modern cafe that sells coffee, tea, chocolate cakes, and sandwiches. My boss is only 25 years old. She started working at the cafe 2 years ago. She has a lot of experience and knows everything perfectly. She showed me how to prepare coffee, wash the dishes, and deal with customers. It was all new for me. I remembered only about 20% of what she told me, but then she let me do the work and corrected me when I made a mistake. She is very friendly, and I learned fast. After the first day at work, I was very tired, but I was happy that I had a job. The next day, I went to school again. One student asked an interesting question. Sometimes when I speak, I am not sure if I speak correctly. I am not sure if I use correct grammar. Can you help me with what to do if I want to learn grammar? Our teacher said, "Thank you for your question. There are two groups of students. Some students study English because they want to be able to speak. Some students study English because they want to pass an exam. For each group, the situation is different." Enhancing your language skills in English. Chapter 8. How to Test My English. On Monday, I went to my school and our teacher asked us what we did over the weekend. I said that I was at work on Saturday and that I could already do my job well. I mentioned that I was happy when I could speak to our customers. When I spoke, one of the girls in the class asked me, "What happened to your voice? You sound very different from what we heard last week. Your pronunciation is very good." I smiled and said, "Thank you. I used shadowing on Saturday evening after my work and the whole of Sunday. I tried to speak like a native speaker. I know that it is not perfect, but I also see a big change in my pronunciation." Our teacher asked if other students tried to practice shadowing. 3 students said yes. One of them was a student from South Korea. He also liked this technique. Another student said that she tried the technique, but her mouth was in pain after 5 minutes of shadowing, so she stopped. She also said that she wasn't always able to repeat everything because the recording was very fast. Our teacher said, "Thank you for trying out this technique. If you do shadowing for the first time and your mouth is in pain after 5 minutes, you are doing it correctly. You need to train your muscles to this new way of speaking. It is like going to the gym for the first time. Your muscles can hurt if they are not trained. If the muscles in your mouth hurt, you can take a break after 5 minutes of shadowing and continue a bit later. With every 5 minutes of practice, your pronunciation improves." Shadowing also has other advantages. You practice the correct pronunciation in English, and you also practice other things such as intonation, rhythm, and connecting words in whole sentences. I know that at the beginning the recording can sometimes be very fast for you. If this happens, you can repeat only the first or the last word in the sentence. With practice, you will be able to repeat more. I said, "It is true." On Saturday, when I started with shadowing, it was difficult for me, but on Sunday evening, it was easy to repeat what I heard. Then I had a question for our teacher. I told her that I looked at grammarinlevels.com. The website was interesting, but I didn't know which level was appropriate for me because I didn't know how many words I knew. Our teacher asked the other students if they knew how many words they knew in English. It was interesting to see that nobody knew. We knew that we were intermediate students, but we didn't know how many words we knew. Our teacher said, "There is a website for people who study foreign languages. You can take a test there to find out how many words you know. The test has only 2 steps and is really simple. The name of the website is testlanguages.com. You can take the test every month and see how much you improve during that month. If you want, you can now take your smartphones and go to that website to take the test." I was really interested in knowing how many words I knew, so I took the test immediately. I found out that I knew 2 out of 100 words in English. Most of the students knew between 2,000 and 2,200 words. Only Monica and the boy from South Korea knew 2,501 words. Our teacher said, "So you can see that when you go to grammarinlevels.com, you should already know grammar from level 2. You can start using grammar from level 3 because level 3 is for students who know between 2,000 and 3,000 words." Chapter 9. How I Handle Mistakes. On Tuesday, I went to school again. One student asked our teacher an interesting question. She said, "I want to practice speaking with people around me, but I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to look stupid. Can you help me?" Our teacher said, "Making mistakes is a very interesting topic. There are a lot of opinions on this topic. I want to show you what I believe is the best to do. I have a lot of experience with this because I also learn new languages. For example, now I am learning Spanish. When I speak Spanish, I don't care if I make mistakes or not. The reason why I don't care about mistakes is simple. When I learned my native language, I didn't care about making mistakes. Mistakes weren't important to me. My main goal when I use any language is to express my ideas. That is all. I know that when I read a lot, speak, and do shadowing, my Spanish will get better and better. I know that this may seem very simple, but it is my opinion. This is what I have learned after many years of teaching and learning languages. It works very well for me and many of my students. When I speak, I only concentrate on speaking at the moment. I know 1,500 words in Spanish. It is the level of a 2-year-old child. 2-year-old children make a lot of mistakes when they speak, but they don't care about their mistakes. They continue using their native language, and when they are 3 years old, they make very few mistakes. When they are 4 years old, they usually speak very well. You can do the same. Most of you know about 2,000 words, so it is absolutely okay to make mistakes from time to time. When you continue using English, there will be fewer and fewer mistakes in your speaking. It is not possible to go to a higher level if you don't make mistakes. When you practice English, it is okay not to be perfect. Perfection comes with practice. All people who started to learn English started from the beginning, from the same level, from level 0. Learning languages is like learning to play a musical instrument. It needs to be trained. When you start your training, it is not perfect at the beginning, and you make mistakes. It is normal. Take it as a necessary part of your learning process. If you don't go through this period of making mistakes, you can't get to higher levels. When you continue to use English, the mistakes will step by step go away. If you want to make fewer mistakes, do a lot of reading and shadowing. When you read, you can read aloud. This can also help you make fewer mistakes. In real conversations, focus only on exchanging ideas, not on making mistakes. When you speak, you practice turning your ideas into words. You don't learn grammar or vocabulary. You have other activities for that. Don't worry. Everybody who learns a foreign language makes mistakes sometimes. Even famous people, bosses of big companies, or politicians make mistakes too. When you listen to these people on TV, you see that they don't care about mistakes. They care about what is important, which is expressing their ideas. You can do the same. Does it make sense? The girl said, "Yes, thank you." Advice to enhance your language skills in English. Enhancing your language skills in English involves consistent practice and engagement with the language in various forms. Here are some strategies that can help. 1. Read books. Choose books that interest you and are at an appropriate level of difficulty. Start with simpler books and gradually move to more complex texts. Articles and newspapers. Reading daily news, articles, and blogs helps you stay updated and exposes you to different writing styles and vocabulary. E-books and audiobooks. These can be convenient options for on-the-go learning. Audiobooks in particular can help with pronunciation and listening skills. 2. Listening podcasts and audiobooks. Listening to English podcasts and audiobooks can improve your comprehension and pronunciation. Movies and TV shows. Watching English movies and TV shows with subtitles can help you understand context and usage. Gradually try watching without subtitles. Music and lyrics. Listening to English songs and following along with the lyrics can be a fun way to learn new words and phrases. 3. Speaking practice. Speaking. Engage in conversations with native speakers or fellow learners. Language exchange partners can be very helpful. Shadowing technique. Listen to native speakers and try to mimic their speech. This can improve your pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Public speaking. Participate in public speaking groups or clubs like Toastmasters to build confidence and fluency. 4. Writing daily journaling. Keep a journal in English where you write about your daily experiences, thoughts, and ideas. Blogging. Start a blog about a topic that interests you. This can motivate you to write regularly and engage with a community. Emails and messages. Practice writing emails and messages in English. Use proper grammar and expand your vocabulary. 5. Grammar and vocabulary. Grammar practice. Use online resources, apps, and grammar books to understand the rules of grammar. Websites like Grammarly can also help correct your writing. Vocabulary building. Learn new words daily and use them in sentences. Flashcards, apps like Anki, and vocabulary lists can be helpful. Word games. Engage in word games like Scrabble, crossword puzzles, and word search to make learning fun. 6. Immersive learning language. Immersion. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. Change the language settings on your devices to English. Travel and cultural exchange. If possible, travel to English-speaking countries or participate in cultural exchange programs. English-speaking environment. Attend events, meetups, or clubs where English is spoken. 7. Regular assessment language tests. Take regular language proficiency tests to assess your progress and identify areas for improvement. Self-assessment. Reflect on your progress by recording yourself speaking and listening to the playback. Note areas that need improvement. 8. Consistency and patience. Daily practice. Dedicate a specific amount of time each day to practice English. Consistency is key to improvement. Set goals. Set achievable goals and milestones for your language learning journey. Patience and persistence. Language learning is a gradual process. Be patient with yourself and keep practicing. By integrating these strategies into your daily routine, you can enhance your English language skills effectively. Remember, practice and exposure are crucial to mastering any language.